final video in the mini-series No Chuck, No Problem. Before we go into the video, I'd like to say a big thank you to my good friend Al Furtado. I received one of your stickers, Al, the Rebel Turner. Thanks very much. One of them's already on the wall, Al. And I'll put a link to Al Furtado's channel in the description below, and he does some really way out stuff. Nothing is too frightening for Al to have a go at. Thanks again for that, Al. And my good friend Mike Atkinson sent me an up-to-date sticker. So I've got two from you now, Mike. Thanks very much, mate. I really appreciate that. That'll go on the wall as well. Now, you might notice something behind me. This was a terrific gift from a fellow turner and friend of mine, Paul Lockwood. I'll zoom in on it so you can see the incredible workmanship that this really terrific gift I received last week from. It's around 14 inches in diameter, and it has been made with an amazing amount of something like 270 different blade changes to get the detail, and his scroll saw work is exemplary. It really is. I think Paul said it took him something like 15 hours in total to do, including the work he had to do in Photoshop, and I'm literally blown away by it. It's fantastic. It's got pride and place in the workshop now. Unfortunately for my subscribers, you'll have to shield the eyes of small children and pets, because this is going to feature obviously behind me in all my intros from now on in. I'll put a link down below to Paul's channel and in actual fact to the video of the making of this, and it's just a marvellous piece of workmanship, and I am really honoured and humbled to have received it. Thanks very much, mate. I really appreciate it. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is to turn a bowl without a chuck, and I'll go through the steps. Like with the other videos, I'm not going to do the sanding and the finishing, because that's not the idea of this mini series, is to show the technique. And we will be using a glue block again, and I'll be using this piece of Agba, which is a tropical hardwood, and it's 10 inches by 3 inches. Okay, so we'll go to the lathe and we'll get started. So first off, we're going to be attaching a faceplate, and this is the same faceplate that fits onto the glue block, so I've unscrewed it from there. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is to find the centre, and the reason for that is that we can centre this in the exact place that we need to, and to help us find the centre, I'm going to be using Keith Barrow's centre finder, and it spans this 10-inch bowl no problem. So basically, if you make 4 marks going around the circumference, and then where they intersect, you can eyeball the middle, and I'll make an indent with a punch, and that is just so that I can locate the faceplate. And this is just a little gizmo I made a while ago, and it fits down the centre, and the point will centre in the hole. And now we attach the faceplate, and I'm using 1¼ inch screws. Now we have it mounted on the spindle, on the faceplate. Just true up the front, true up the edges, and then we can start to shape the outside of the bowl, put a tenon on, and then flip it round and put it onto the face block. I'm not going to be finishing this, it's just going to be a rough shape because the idea is not for the finish, the sanding, etc. It's purely the technique. Okay, so we'll get on with that. Okay, so now I've got the bowl trued up on the front and on the edges, so it's round. And the reason we're doing this is twofold, mainly to get the revs up, get it more in balance at a higher speed. And I'm able to turn this at around 1,000 revs, which gives a nicer cut and makes it a more pleasurable experience. So the next stage is to establish a tenon, and that tenon will go into a recess I make in the glue block, and it'll be glued in ready to turn the inside. So a rough shape on the outside, and to get the tenon established as well. And there are a few cracks here which I have to be mindful of, but we'll see if we turn those away. But as I explained, this is not a finished project on this video. It might be the subject of a future video. We just want to go through the technique. So I'll go through rough shaping the outside and establishing the tenon. Okay, so the situation now is that you would finish off the final profiling of your outside of the bowl. You'd sand, use whichever method you require to get the back of the bowl finished. Apply your wax or finish of choice, so that essentially, apart from the foot area, the back of the bowl is complete. Now it's time to spin it round, put it into the glue chuck and hollow out the middle. Okay, so now that we've finished with the faceplate on the bowl, detach it from the bowl, put it back onto the glue block, and I put a mark here, and it corresponds to a mark on the faceplate, so that I can line up the screws again and re-screw it to the glue block. So now we have the faceplate screwed back onto the glue block, and we put that back onto the spindle. And actually on this one I did glue a bit of extra on here now, because the old, the one I've used in the previous two videos was getting a little narrow, so we got a nice fresh bit on here. Now the object of this exercise is to establish a mortise in there to correspond to the tenon, and we'll get that fitting up. Here I'm going to take my verniers, digital verniers, and get the dimension of the tenon. I'm going to transfer that tenon to the glue block. If you're not comfortable with this method, use a ruler. What I do is touch the left hand leg and make a very fine mark until I've got the right hand leg directly in that groove, and then press a little bit harder, and then I will follow with a pencil. So very lightly to begin with. We're off there. That's the one. So it's the one on the inside. So if I get and that is the size of the mortise. Now I will start on the inside of that ring until I get a tight fit. Okay, so now that I've got the mortise to the right dimension, the tenon will fit in nice and snug. And what I like to do then is bring up the tailstock just to put it in centrally, and that is turning really nicely. Okay, so the next step is to heat the old glue up and to glue it in place, ready to hog out the middle. Okay, so now you get your glue gun as hot as it'll go, and put the glue around the edge, place your bowl, bring the tailstock up, apply pressure, and that is running nice. And so now I've given the glue time to completely cure. If you take the headstock away, it's really solid. So now turn the inside of the bowl and then part it off, and I'll show you how to finish off the foot. I will keep the tailstock up purely and simply for added proportion while I'm turning the outside through and start to move in. So the bowl has now been cored out, if you like, on the inside, and as I explained, I'm not going to be doing the finishing. This now is ready for sanding and putting the finish of your choice on. So basically all remains to do is to part off. I'll change the camera angle. Okay, so we're ready now to part off the bowl. Now, as you can see, the glue block is actually a bit large, really. What I should have done is reduce the diameter of the glue block. Not a problem. I'll just take down a bit here so I can get in with the parting tool to part off the bowl. But it's all a learning curve. I know next time. Now, at this point, you could either carry on with the parting tool, because it's virtually come off now, or you can use a saw. So this is just a pull saw. So and there you go. Now all you have to do now is to clean up the base, which you can do. Because there's no foot on this, I personally would use a sander, either mounted in a Jacob's chuck into your spindle, into your headstock, or indeed on a drill press or with a hand drill. So I'll use the hand drill because everybody's got the facilities. Okay, so you've got rid of your nub and you've got a concave surface here, and obviously there would have been a finish on the outside, and it was just the base that you would wanted to have cleaned up, and a bit of hand sanding. I mean, we're saying here that this is an alternative, or makes it possible to turn a bowl with without a chuck. It's not as easy, I'm not saying it is, but it's just the technique. I mean, obviously with a bit more sort of care and attention, this could be perfect, as it would be, and there's absolutely no reason at all why you can't turn a bowl without a chuck. Well, I hope some of you found that of interest. I'd like to point out once again, this wasn't an exercise in finishing a bowl. It was to demonstrate a one way, if you like, of the stages that I used not having a chuck, using it on a glue block. And I'm pretty pleased how it came out. It's the first time I've ever done it, and I learned a few things on the way. The main thing I think is I possibly, if I did it again, I would put a mortise on the bowl and a tenon on the glue block. But I hope this has given you some idea that it's, you know, you can turn a bowl. I've demonstrated you can turn a box in my previous video, and indeed a goblet. So you are not restricted if you haven't got a chuck. It makes it a lot easier, there's no argument there, but it's certainly well within everybody's capabilities to turn virtually anything without a chuck. Before I go, I'd like to mention again that in November at Harrogate, I'll be at the Harrogate show on the Simon Hope stand. I really look forward to meeting everybody that turns up at the show there, and we'll be there. I'll be there for the 3 days on Simon's stand, demonstrating his tools and answering any questions you might have, as well as will Simon. And of course next year we've got Makers Central in the NEC at Birmingham, organised by Nick Zammit from NZ Woodturning. I'll put links to the Makers Central Facebook page, YouTube channel, and indeed Nick Zammit's, and you can keep up to date with what's going on there and what you can expect to enjoy when you attend. Well, thanks very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers now.